video is going to be a quick video to show you how I am making some tassels to go on my boho tags. They're quick and easy. Certainly making tassels is nothing new. Maybe this is an old craft revived. I don't know. But I needed some tassels for my boho tags, and I'm having such fun making them. To do these, I found this really long sheer scarf at a garage sale. You can see I've already cut into it. It was probably about 9 inches wide. But it's perfect for boho tassels. Just perfect. It's got the right colors, those flowers and the blue background. Bright, cheerful, boho-ish. And I also found another one that has elephants on it. And I actually used this on my tag itself. So I just have a little strip left. So I'm not making tassels out of this because I don't have enough. But it certainly could be used too. The fabric is very sheer. It's a scarf. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting a strip, a very, very narrow strip, and I've already cut this and wound it up to keep it until I could use it. But I just take my scissors and I go about a 1/2 inch in, and I just cut a strip all the way down. So I'm not going to do that here. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. So you'll need a scarf or some type of a fabric. I would recommend a light sheer fabric if you're going to do this. A scissors, I'm using my embroidery scissors. Some strong thread. You could use wire if you wanted to. Gold thread would be nice, but I like the red. It goes with my tags, and it's a strong crochet thread. And then charms or buttons. I'm using a little, not sure that you can see it, it's a fleur-de-lis brass charm. I got it at a little shop close to me, very inexpensive. And here's the finished tassel. And you will also need a craft needle. I like a long one with a big eye, especially if I'm using the crochet thread. You will also need some type of an object or paper or strong cardboard to wrap your fabric around, and that's what I'm going to do right now. And what I do is I start the end of my strip toward the bottom of, I'm just going to call this my wrapping tool. And I don't mind that it's different sizes, different lengths. It's kind of wrinkled in one part, flat in the other. And I just wrap it around like this several times. Now I'm considering this the top, and I always snip off. I do not have enough to go clear around again. You could probably bring it up here and tie it up there, but I don't like to fool with that. I just snip it off. There's enough here to accommodate it. Then I take about 2 yards for a tassel this size, about 2 yards of my crochet thread. I just double it. You'll need a good length of it. This is kind of, you'll get a sense if you start making tassels how much you'll need. It's kind of a depending on what how big your tassel is, how much thread you need. Now, when you double your thread, you always have a loop at one end. Let me grab the 2 ends here. Make sure they're even. and I thread the 2 loose ends through my needle. Then I just turn my tool so that what I'm going to call the top of my tassel is right up at the top of my tool, and I insert my threaded needle underneath the top, pull it through, and put my needle through the loop. Just like that, and pull it through, and pull it tight. Kind of center it. And then pull it into a tight knot. And I do that a couple times just to secure it. Very simple to do this. Now at this point, I pull my tassel off my little tool, whatever you're using to wrap your tassel around. And I take my needle and insert it through the top of the loop so that it comes out down on the underside. Just like this. And then kind of pull it through and out the middle of the tassel. Don't catch any of the tassels in the thread here. Let those fall free. Now you're going to form this little head of the tassel. And I just take and kind of comb it down. And then I give it a little twist, just like that. And because my thread is on the underside, I try to keep that thread when I'm twisting it. I try to keep that thread on the underside. But you'll want it to kind of come out the side so that you're going to create this little threaded neck here. You kind of want to comb that head down so it looks nice. Combing its hair. This kind of got fuzzy hair here. But I want that on my boho tags because boho is kind of free-spirited, and I like the phrase for the free spirit. Then I take my thread and I start wrapping it around. You'll get the hang of this once you do 2 or 3 of them. I think this part, getting this started, is the hardest part of making the tassel. You can see I have a little loop there where I held on to that thread. I think that will be okay. Now, still keeping your needle threaded, kind of hold this tight. Put your needle back through the underside of the thread up to the top and pull it through. And then I make a little knot up at the top, and then I go back down. Now you can put your charm either at the top of this threaded neck or at the bottom. I'm going to put mine at the bottom. And all I'm doing is pushing my needle back underneath of the threads around the neck of the tassel. Pull it through. Just like that. And then I make another knot right down at the bottom. I don't think you have to, per se, make a knot. I think it'll be plenty tight without it. But for me, the extra knot is just a bit of security. Now, because my needle is too fat to go through the eye of this charm. I actually unthread my needle at this point, and I thread these threads through the charm, and because that's so small, I do it separately, and I thread from the back to the front. There's one thread. There we go. And then you kind of have to even up your thread again and just pull it through. Now you have your charm on your tassel. Now at this point, I rethread my needle because I'm not done with it. I always snip the end of these threads because of the process of sewing and everything, they get uneven. And thread your needle again. And then kind of work with your charm so you know it's in the spot where you want it. I kind of hold everything in my fist because it contains everything while I'm working on it. And then bring your needle through the bottom of the neck thread again and tie a knot. And here again, I always do another knot just to secure it. Because I'm using a double thread, sometimes I've got to straighten these threads out as I'm working because they like to twist and turn. And get uneven. Come on. Now you can kind of pull on your threads here, your tassel pieces, if you're not happy with how it's poking through. I think I've got some shaggy edges there, which is okay. After all, this is boho. Now I'm down at the bottom of my tassel. What I want to do is I want to poke my needle through the neck thread. It's always easier to hold these tassels in your fist. Poke your needle through your neck thread up to the top, and then I like to poke it clear through up to the top of the tassel again. You kind of have to watch your thread so it doesn't get entangled in your charm, but just pull it through. It's a little bit harder to pull through at this point, but if you're using a sheer scarf, it's a lot easier than if you were using a stronger, closely woven fabric or ribbon. All right, so there we go. Now all I need to do is make my little hanger, and I'm estimating maybe about 1.5 inches for the hanger. And to do that, you just make a little knot up here at the top. Very simple. Leave about 1.5 inch loop. Just knot it up at the top. There we go. And again, I like to do more than one. The more knots you do with a colored thread, the more you're going to see of the colored thread on the top of the tassel. Now, whether you like that or not, it's up to you. I kind of like that, especially if it matches the body and the threads of my tassel. I think it's just a little bit of extra color. And tighten it up. Now at this point, I take my needle that's still threaded. If I'm lucky, it's still threaded. And I go back down through the center of the neck. And this is, again, is where a nice sheer fabric helps, because the needle goes through it a lot easier than if it were a more closely woven fabric. And just pull it through. Now you can unthread your needle. Give it back to Penelope. Now you got a thread hanging out here. You want to decide how long do you want it. Do you want it cut it really short and hide it, or do you want to let it hang down and become part of the tassel? And I tend to like to have it hang down. It can always be cut shorter. Now I kind of shake it out. Now you get your fingers through the loops here, because we still got the loops where we had it looped around that pencil case here. I kind of let it hang upside down. It's not perfectly upside down, but enough. And then you take your scissors and you just cut through the loops. And there's your tassel. You can even this up if you want. Because mine's a boho tag, I don't mind the unevenness. You can add ribbons and charms. You can put beads up at the top. You could put beads down at the bottom. You could do whatever you want. I'm just using this fleur-de-lis breast charm on mine. So today I am busy making tassels for my boho tags. So today I'm busy making tassels for my boho tags. Fun, just fun. I will see you on the next page.